Kalimera Nikolaki.
Kalimera Anastasios. What's past, my friend?
Good, mate. Good to see you.
Mate, it's an unusual time for us, isn't it?
Yeah, we usually recorded of an afternoon, of a Saturday afternoon, but here we are doing a morning show.
I know. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? I feel like I just got out of bed. It's not normal.
I think I did.
I think we did, didn't we? Yeah, classic. Well, good to see you, mate. So
It is good.
what's happening today?
Very special episode today. We're talking about Greek Orthodox Easter.
My favourite time of the year, actually. I love it. The weather changes as well. You sort of got rid of that summer feel, and it's that autumn feel coming in, and you're rugged up, and then all the families get together. It's a great time of year, mate. I love it.
You know what? It feels like we just got through with Christmas, and it's Easter already. Does that come with age? The older you get, the closer everything gets.
Yeah.
All these milestone events.
Yeah, it is. It must be age time. Christmas was just not long ago.
Yeah,
And we're in the 2022. I feel like we celebrated New Year's.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think it is age. Maybe we drink too much. We've got to slow down.
It's been a big few weeks for Ouzo Talk though as well, hasn't it?
It has been. Yeah, it's been huge. Actually, and I guess congratulations are in order. We've just ticked over 52 countries around the world that have been listening to our podcast.
You're
would you
kidding.
believe?
52 countries.
Yeah, and Zambia was our 50th. Would you believe? The people of Zambia. So we got someone in Zambia, a bunch of people listening to us.
Mate, I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear it.
So greetings to our friends out at Zambia, and Kenya was our 51st country as well.
Wow, Ouzo Talk taking off in Africa.
Yeah, that's it. So hello to Africa, our greetings. We love you guys. I'm glad you're listening in. Hope you're enjoying the episodes. But more importantly, I just read a stat now from our site, and our top 10 cities, would you believe? I'll read them out if you like.
Yeah, please.
So the obvious one is Sydney. Sydney's number 1. Melbourne number 2. Got Athens at number 3. Adelaide 4. Then we've got Toronto, Ontario. Brisbane. Then we've got Montreal, Quebec. Wellington in New Zealand, would you believe?
Sure, bro.
Yeah, sure, bro. And then we got New York, Frankfurt. I'm not sure if I could pronounce this right. It's Syracuse in New Jersey. Hope I've pronounced that correctly.
That's Syracuse?
No, it's SECA.
Okay, there you go.
Ends up our top 10. And then we've got like heaps on equal 11th. Markham, Ontario, Long Beach, California, Scarborough, Ontario, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Oslo, Los Angeles, Seattle, Johannesburg, Vancouver, British Columbia.
It's all over the place.
We have. We've spread our wings, haven't we?
We have, mate, we have. Great to hear. Well, like I said, this is an episode about Easter. Should we get into the episode, Nick? What do you reckon?
I think we should. And just before we go, quick cheerio to James Dimitaris from Melbourne. He's a listener of ours, Tom, and he's had a bit of bad luck recently, and he's on the mend, so he's on the way up. So a big cheerio, James, from Nick and Tom from Ouzo Talk. I hope all the best and recovery goes well.
All the best, James, mate.
Okay.
Well, let's do it, Nick.
Let's kick it off, mate.
Beautiful. We're not going to cheers today because we're actually not drinking any ouzo or anything that you can that you can charge a glass with. We're just drinking coffee. It's early in the morning.
It is too early, so double shot piccolo down the hatch.
Absolutely.
All right.
No cheers, no cheers.
No cheers.
Oh dear. But yeah, it is very early in the morning for us to be doing this. So this is uncharted territory. But
It is.
we'll see what happens. We're early risers when it comes to Easter, when it comes to actually putting the adenine on and doing all that sort of stuff, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. We do get up early and start all that. Otherwise, we'll have the Yaneka screaming at us. When are we going to eat? So we've got to get in there early. We've got to get it right. Otherwise, we'll hear about it.
Absolutely. And there's no better way to start the day off in a Greek household with either your Greek coffee, frappe, or a Freddo cap, right?
That's right.
What's
Yes,
your go-to
definitely.
in the morning normally?
I'm down to an espresso. I think it's pure come out of laziness.
Yep.
Just a double shot espresso and that's it. But if I had a choice, if I had a Orexi, I'd probably go a Freddo.
A Freddo.
Yeah.
How do you drink it? Freddo cap or just a...
Milk and sugar. Yeah. See, how do you drink yours?
I've actually recently shifted. So I've gone from drinking the Freddo cap to recently going to a Freddo espresso with a little bit of nunu, the evaporated milk in it.
Okay.
And now I've gone full Freddo espresso.
Wow.
Recently.
Okay.
So I've gradually gone hardcore.
Yeah. Is it the same as Greece, do you think?
Depends. It depends where you get it. Mooch and Me does a pretty good Freddo cap and a Freddo espresso. So
True.
Good plug.
Yeah,
they actually do a very good Freddo espresso. If I'm honest,
they do.
But there's a lot of good places now that are cropping up that are doing it as well, which is fantastic because it's you can now get it a little more readily.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's so many Greeks around in Sydney, so
Absolutely.
they want to taste of Greece, so why not?
Usually my go-to though is the Greek coffee. I love a good Greek coffee, maybe with a little bit of just a little bit of sugar in it. I don't subscribe to this, this thing where it's like, metrio, glycol, because it's like predetermined. I think metrio is like 1 or 2 sugars.
Yeah.
I think it might be 1. And then the glycol is like 3 or something like that. Like it's a lot for a small glass.
Yeah.
But in true Ouzo Talk style, what I really love with my Greek coffee is putting a splash of ouzo in it.
Yeah, okay.
It is fantastic.
Never had that. Okay.
If you haven't tried it, you've really got to give it a go.
Yeah.
I remember being on a ferry in Greece, probably in 2016, 2015, somewhere around there. We were going from Corfu to Igoumenitsa to eventually go on to Thessaloniki.
place.
Absolutely. And I said to the guy, going and ordering a coffee, and I said, I want a Greek coffee. I go, and do you have any ouzo? And he's like, yeah. He sort of leans in. He goes, yeah. This is like 7 a.m. Whatever. I go, can you put a splash in there?
Yeah.
He goes, he said, Cosmo. He loved the fact that I put a little bit of put a little bit of alcohol in my morning coffee, which I wouldn't do normally, but it's fantastic. You've got to give it a try.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste, isn't it? The Greek coffee. It's very sandy down the bottom.
It's crunchy.
It is. Yeah, gets thicker the more you drink it. Starts off nice and smooth, and it gets thicker towards the end.
That's it.
Yeah, there was a place in Athens, I remember, where they had the piriki and they make you coffee, and they actually use hot sand.
Hovoli, they call it. So, kafesti hovoli, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was fascinating to watch. Yeah. Just reminding me of a Greek church, all these candles, but there's all these pirikis, with hot sand, and
they do it here too. I think there's a shop. I think they used to do it at Alevri in Marrickville, in Dully Chill. Yeah,
okay.
Got to give it a try.
Yeah, I think we have to actually. Yeah, maybe I'll go down to the beach and grab some sand and heat it up. What do you reckon?
Well, I think the reasoning behind it is because it gives a more even distribution of heat, which makes the coffee boil more evenly or something along those lines.
Okay. A bit of theory behind it.
Absolutely. There's science everywhere when it comes to Greek stuff.
Exactly. Oh, mate, Greeks are all engineers when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, we're hacking stuff all the time.
Can we make this better?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, but we want to get it better,
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Well, we're having our morning coffee, and at this point, it's still purely for effect. There's no enjoyment in it for me yet. It's purely to wake me up. But anyway, look, let's talk about Easter, because we're in the middle of Lent right now. It's coming up to it. It's probably the most important event on the Greek calendar. What does it mean to your family, Nick?
Yeah, for us, I guess it's all about family unity. It's a culture thing. Yes, it's about Jesus and so forth, but it's more about bringing the family together. It's a great time of year, and I just got really fond memories as a kid. Mum and dad, brother and sister, all my family, all my cousins. We go to church, and it's like a reunion at church. You see people you went to Greek school with, or primary school, or played football with. It's like a reunion of all the Greek community. Everyone dresses puts on their best clothes, and yeah, it's a great time. I actually look forward to it every year. Even now as an adult, I want to see experiencing it through my kids now. Just this. How funny is it? It's 11 o'clock on a Saturday, and there's no one inside at the church, and about 11:05, just a swarm of people just start to come in. It's like a tsunami of people. All of a sudden, shit, where'd all these people come from?
And you go to Cogra, I think you said.
We do, yeah, that's our church. Yeah, it's huge. Don't quote me on the numbers, but all I remember was church is full, and they got upstairs, it's full. everyone down the stairs full, on the main road, footpath full, road full, left and right of the road, which goes about 50 metres either end. It's just packed. You know, I want to say thousands and thousands, but I'm sure some will all know. But yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
And even just trying to get out, it's just a mayhem. I love it.
It's just as big. And I don't know if it's even bigger in some instances at St. Spiridon Church in Kingsford here in Sydney.
Is that your church?
That's where we go to.
Yep.
That's where I was baptized and the whole family goes to. Big Greek community around there. So St. Spiridon Church, again, one of the biggest parishes, I'd say, in Sydney.
It's definitely huge. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they shut off every year. They shut off all of on either side of the church. And it is absolutely packed Friday and Saturday night. This is a big main road that they shut off. And yeah, it is just a sea of people every year. It's unbelievable. It's beautiful to see.
Yeah, no, it is. And even the Friday as well, when they do the epitafio, and they do the lap of honour around the church as well.
Don't you love how everyone calls it the lap of honour?
Yeah. I remember one year, a couple of non-Greeks, because you go around walking around the streets, and they wanted to leave.
Yep.
And before they realised, a swarm of people holding candles were walking past them. And I remember there was one particular car with 4 people in it trying to get out of the street. They had parked, and they couldn't get out. They were doing 5Ks, and the people were walking, looking at them, giving them dirty looks as they're walking past their car. It was funny. So thinking, shit, what is going on here? There was no one here about an hour ago. Everyone's walking past with candles staring at me, dressed to the nines,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Also, it's a bit of, when the epitafio comes out, it's an honour, isn't it, to walk underneath it?
Yeah. So if you go,
that?
there's a lot of people. That was more of a tradition that I learnt in Greece when I was there for Easter a few years ago. So the whole thing was, okay, the epitafio comes out, and people are trying to go underneath it because it's a good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, it was always a case of you go, na proskinisis, you go up, kiss the icon of the epitafio, whatever, take a flower from it. I don't know if that's part of the tradition, but
yeah, it's for good luck.
Absolutely.
Everything's for good luck.
That's it.
See, we're lucky guys, me and you.
We are, mate. We are.
I did it one year too. I remember it's just trying to get through, and you got little old ladies trying to get underneath, and you're trying to be respectful.
The season ticket holders.
That's right. Yeah. The regulars, front row.
Yeah.
Mate, they know the priest by name. They do, yeah. But we did go through actually, and they leaned up, grabbed that little flower as well.
Yep.
We're gonna have luck for the year. But yeah, it's a big thing, isn't it, to walk underneath it?
Apparently so. I don't know the full tradition as to why, but I mean, it's important to mention. Not everyone's particularly religious in the community, but despite that, it feels as though Greek communities throughout the diaspora tend to come together around our churches. It's morphed into something that's more of a family event as opposed to a religious one. The two go hand in hand. Is that something that you reckon is true?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a cultural thing. A lot of people probably aren't religious, but it's a cultural thing. It's something that we do. It's habitual, and it's all good. It's all about celebration and eating and drinking and being festive as well. So, but you're right. It's I don't see that many people on church on a Sunday, but somehow they come out of the woodwork for Easter.
You've got to be at church on Sunday to know that. Do you go on Sunday?
I used to go. Yeah. Sometimes.
I think we used to do it. We used to go Sunday morning for Kinonia. We would try to go, and that was that the Saturday morning or the Sunday morning? I can't remember. Whether there was literally a line around the corner to go for Kinonia.
Yeah, I think it was the No, it was the Saturday.
The Saturday morning,
yeah,
was
it? Was
it?
the Saturday. Do you remember as a kid, I'd blow up. I think, is this it? Do I finally get to eat my chocolate Easter eggs? And go, nope, not yet. So I thought church on the Friday, okay, I get to open these beautiful Easter eggs. Used to have this Humpty Dumpty was my favourite. Smarties
with the Smarties in it.
And I thought, what a waste of space. It's all empty, but they fill it with Smarties. That's a great idea. Get more chocolate. But I could never eat it on a Friday. And then we had the Kinonisi on a Saturday. I go, Mark, can we have it now? Or keep it in minute? Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, what a drag Saturday was, remember? Like you couldn't go to sleep. You were up at, 8, 9, 10. Oh my God. You're half asleep as a kid, seeing all these beautiful chocolates. And then finally you get the green light. We go to church and Yeah, that waiting period, that was. I remember that was a killer.
And it's the signal to eat meat as well, obviously.
That's right. Yeah, but unbeknown to us, we didn't realise we were vegans. During the Easter period.
Yeah.
Like we were young 6, 7-year-old kids. I didn't know. Whatever Mum cooked, we ate.
Yeah.
And there was no meat, feta. Yeah, but it was a good time actually. It was a really good cleansing diet for us, with unbeknown to us. So we're probably the original vegans. What do you reckon?
Absolutely. I mean, we would eat things like briam. So for those who don't know, it's like a ratatouille type of thing in the oven. Araka, or bizelya, as a lot of people know it. So peas.
Store.
Yep.
Yeah,
so peas with potatoes and aguinares and all that sort of stuff. Just fantastic. And you wouldn't realize that it's not that there's no meat in it.
Yeah.
Until someone in the family said, we haven't eaten meat for a while, and then you can't get it out of your head for the next few weeks.
Yeah. I had a sweet tooth, so for me it was always about the chocolate. But yeah, we used to have, remember bamyas?
Yes. Okra.
I used to hate that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's all we had to eat. We had that, fagues, all the legumes and so forth.
Love fagues.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I do now.
Yeah.
Back then it was like a drag. Oh my God.
Yeah.
How can you eat this stuff? Even just for the name of it.
That was always...
Fagues and bamyas. Oh, I'm not eating bums. What's going on?
Everyone's got a joke about telling their friends about fagues as a kid. Yeah. It's like, what are you eating? Fagues. What? Excuse me?
Yeah. Oh.
It means lentil soup.
We've got a lot of words with that synonym, haven't we? Seal. How do you say seal in Greek?
Fuck yeah.
How do you say mousetrap?
Fucker.
Envelope.
Fakelo.
What else is there? We got
That's
fagues.
outstanding.
Oh,
jeez.
Yeah, that's it. There's 4 of them, isn't there? Yeah. So a seal, a lentil-eating seal holding an envelope steps on a mousetrap. Say that in Greek.
That is outstanding.
Classic.
Jeez.
No,
good
it's
stuff.
good. So tell us about your experience growing up as a kid. Easter. What are your fond memories?
Everything was a lead up to that Sunday morning. When we would wake up really early. Me and my papa would go outside, start the karvuna basically for the arni and or for the what do you call it, the kodoshuvli or whatever we were going to have that day. Usually it would be a whole lamb. Mm-hmm. So I was really involved from a really young age because I wanted to take it over very quickly, which I have now with my cousin Steve. So it was always about that. As a younger kid, I really liked going to church and seeing all of that, all of that thing and the service, the liturgy, and all that sort of thing. I was really interested as a kid. Became a little less religious, growing up, but still really enjoy doing it at that time of year and love, taking, my little one now as well. I think it's really important, that they have these special events. As with everything, as you get a little bit older and you've got kids, it becomes more about them. Yeah. So it's more about, making it special for them. For me personally, I was never really preoccupied with the chocolate side of it.
Okay.
And part of it is because I think my dad's got an obsession with chocolate.
Okay.
I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to out him again. I've outed Dad a few times on this podcast.
Poor Philip.
I know. Yeah, like I said, Dad's got this preoccupation, this obsession with chocolate. He's tall and thin, but he could eat as much chocolate as you can imagine and doesn't gain any weight now. For years, what would happen around Easter is, family members would bring us, the big chocolate eggs and, like the Humpty Dumpty. And we would put them all on this bar that we had at home at the time.
A display.
Yep. Yeah, where your family's got the cala, cristala.
That's right.
All of that.
We had a bar too. Yes, I remember that bar.
We had one as well for a while.
Alcohol.
The one that's got like all the good crystal glasses and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, as a display.
Yeah,
but underneath the bar was just full. I remember all those kids. I go, oh my God.
No, the alcohol was in a separate place for us.
Okay.
But anyway, there was this little table there. And what would happen is people would bring us chocolate, family members, aunts, uncles, godparents, whatever. My brother and I would split it into 2 sections. So one side would be mine, the other side would be his. And what would happen over the coming weeks, we'd slowly chip away at it. This one year, though, someone brought me an egg shaped as a football, like a rugby league ball, an NRL Easter egg, which was fantastic.
And you kicked it.
It took pride of place right in the middle of this bar, right?
Yeah.
A few weeks after Easter, we're chipping away at all this chocolate, and Dad's eating most of it, right? I'm having a little bit, but it's mostly for him.
Yeah.
So of an evening, Dad would say, go and grab something. Go and bring some over here as we're watching TV. As all the chocolate was going, this NRL Easter egg gets left. And he keeps saying to me, come on, go and crack it. I go, nah, that's the only one that I really want. I could just leave that. That's going to be for me, to have, whenever I want. And he goes, nah, come on, you're not going to eat all that by yourself. And he's, trying to twist my arm about it. It got to the stage where, 2 weeks had passed, 3 weeks had passed, and he's still getting into me about this egg. And eventually I said, look, I'm not going to bloody open it. You've had all the rest of mine. Just be happy with that. Just leave that one for me. Anyway, so I walk inside, I had the shits, and I heard Mum say to Dad, why won't you just let him have that? Stop pestering him. You've had all the other ones that he had. Yeah. And she goes, seriously? She goes, I'm surprised that you haven't, cracked it open and started eating it from behind. And he goes, how did you know?
Oh.
And she looks at him.
Yeah.
She goes, you're kidding, right? And I can hear this, right? Yeah. I walk outside. So the egg was in this, this cardboard box with plastic around it and whatever, and it was covered in foil. So I go and have a look. I open the top of it, and the back half that you couldn't see was all crumpled and was missing.
Philip.
There was thought put into this, right? He went and took a really sharp knife, ran it under a hot tap, carefully peeled it, and started slicing into the back of it. And eating it in secret. And was just leaving the front.
Very clever.
And I have a look at him. I'm like, you're sick. I go, I'm too impressed to be angry. I could just have it.
What a classic. Good on him.
Oh, jeez.
There we go. I think you do, eh?
Yeah.
I think you do. What a classic.
He's ill.
Yeah, classic. Mate, speaking of that bar, it just brought back fond memories.
Yeah, go on.
Look, like 16, 17. We used to sneak behind the bar. And I remember Mum and Dad all these amazing scotches and ouzo bottles. And as kids, we weren't kids, like teenagers, 16, say. We'd sneak out behind the bar and have a look and check out all these bottles of alcohol. We'd unscrew the lid and we'd fill the lid cap of the liquid with little shots. Put the lid back on it and then sort of crawl back out of the bar again as if nothing happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, fond memories.
How drunk would you get with your cousins?
We didn't drink too many, but yeah, we did feel a bit, how you going? Yeah, but that was my first taste of alcohol behind that bar, drinking out of a lid cap of scotch. But yeah.
And would your parents jerry or what? Would they realise?
I don't know, actually. Yeah, I had an older brother, so I think he probably got the blame of it. Yeah, so, it's probably Bill. Drinking it. Little do they know, it's me.
Your dad's measuring all the bottles.
Oh, we had heaps. Like back then, name days were huge. So if someone would come over, we'd have like shitload of families come over. They'll bring a bottle of something.
Yeah.
So every year this thing would get bigger and bigger, and we'd have so much alcohol. I don't think they'd even realise if anything went missing.
Yeah.
So. But back to Easter. Yeah, they're good memories, Tom. I remember when I was a kid, we'd go into church. I think it was the Friday or the Saturday during the day. I remember the priest would walk down, or the priest's assistants, whatever they were, and they'd move the chandeliers, and they'd have these big cane baskets of bay leaves.
Ah, yes.
And they'd throw it to the crowd. Was that was meant to be an earthquake? As soon as when Jesus died was the earthquake. I think that's
I can't remember which day it is that happens on, but there is a tradition where basically the priest comes out and they throw all this stuff. There's actually a really funny video on YouTube that's been used to death on a show called Radio Arvila.
Okay.
in Greek TV, which I love.
Yeah.
And they took the piss out of this priest so bad.
Yeah.
Because there's this shot. They've set the camera up right down the aisle.
Yeah.
And what happens is the door of the altar opens up, and the priest comes racing out, like bombing down the aisle, throwing leaves all over the place. And there's a jump. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So you're seeing rasa going everywhere. You're seeing leaves going everywhere. It's brilliant. But I'm not sure which day that actually is.
I think it's the Saturday morning. I think it's meant to represent there was an earthquake when Jesus died on the cross.
Right.
So he died on the Friday, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it would have been Saturday morning session. Yeah, and it was a big event. I remember it was huge. The season ticket holders would cop most of the bay leaves in your face, and it was funny. You watch everyone walk out at church, and they got bay leaves in their hair and back of their clothes. And again, you have to grab one for good luck.
Of course,
everything's good luck.
Of course. And the more you grab, the more luck you've got, right?
Yeah, I remember one year I saw one particular priest had like handfuls. He must have had the shits that day. It was just fucking branding it at people, just throwing it at people's faces. And the chandeliers were going, virtually at right angles, sway. I'm going, shit, what happened to this guy? Pissed off he had to get up so early.
There's some interesting traditions when it comes to Easter, and from all over Greece as well. I mean, we've spoken about a few, and maybe this is a good time to talk about some of those traditions. As you know, my family's from Corfu, and Corfu is one of those places that has some awesome Easter traditions, and so much so that a lot of Greeks actually go to Corfu during Easter to experience it because of the spectacle that there is. In particular, there's this one thing that happens on Easter Saturday, the botides. I don't know if you've seen this, but basically...
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, so basically in the square, in the main square of Corfu town, what they do basically is they've got these big clay pots, and they're painted red, or they paint them different colours, they fill them with water. And I think it's at midday or something along those lines. They actually throw them over the balcony and they shatter on the ground. And there is fair income over 100,000 people in that square. It's unbelievable. I experienced it in 2019. First time in my life. I'd been told from a very young age that Easter in Corfu was pretty special. And I was just like, how special could it be? And people kept telling me, so special that people from other parts of Greece go there. I'm like, all right.
I actually see it on the news. It's actually huge.
It's massive.
The whole world focuses in on it.
Yeah.
Do you know what the tradition is? What does it represent?
So similar to what you were talking about before, the symbolism is to create an earthquake that's like the one that occurred following Christ's resurrection from his tomb, and perhaps is to symbolize, the cracking of the stone or the moving of the stone or something along those lines. Islanders also believe that it's to ward off bad spirits, and spectators basically take a shard from the clay pots because guess what?
It's for good luck.
It's good luck.
Mate, people from Corfu are very lucky. That's all I can say.
Absolutely.
What a classic.
We had such good luck that when I took my shard in 2019, we had COVID the very next year.
Yeah, fantastic. And look what's happened.
I know.
We've got a podcast out of it.
Absolutely.
See? There you go. You got your good luck.
That's it. But yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic spectacle. And like I said, the whole square is filled up. And this is one of the biggest squares in Europe. And it is just a sea of people. And what happens is, I'd say standing room only. There's no standing room. You're literally sardines, right?
Okay.
And what happens is, because those people that are close to the buildings, they need to move back. Otherwise, they're going to get hit with a pot. What the owners of the houses and the apartments do is they start throwing water out of the windows a few minutes before to make sure that people move back. And when the bells at St. Spiridon start ringing, they start throwing things out the window.
Wow. So does this happen at midnight?
Now, this is during the day.
During the day, like on
During
the
the day.
Friday or the Saturday?
I think it's the Saturday. That happens, all the marching bands, there are like 20-odd marching bands on the island, massive ones. They all start playing, there's a whole thing that, that happens there. There's a procession that happens.
Yeah.
And it is just mayhem for a few minutes there. All you can hear is, things breaking everywhere. It's sort of ingrained into us, isn't it? Breaking plates, breaking pots.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Have to break something.
Yeah.
Are there any injuries ever? Do you ever see any people get shards of clay pot in the eye? Or
It must happen. Everyone says, nah, it's never happened.
Yeah.
But it must happen somewhere.
says the guy with the missing eye. Nah,
Yeah,
that
that's
never
it.
happens.
No, but it actually happens all over the island. So, at that time, they do start throwing it out everywhere. And what my mum said as well, growing up, because she grew up in Corfu as well, when they heard the bells at St. Spiridon and people started throwing things, that's the time that my papu would slaughter the Easter lamb as well.
Okay.
So when that happened, that's when that's the signal to start cutting.
Wow, shit. Yeah. Is that why they don't have any old ancient terracotta pots in Corfu? Because
nothing's safe at that point.
they've been broken.
Nothing's safe.
No, we can't find any terracotta pots here. Everywhere else we do, except for Corfu.
That's it.
Some little kid grabbed it and threw it out the window.
That's where pots go to die, mate.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because there are some people in that square that they've got like a tradition. So there's one guy in the main square there that does a massive pot every year.
Yeah.
and he paints it in the colours of the island's soccer team.
Okay.
Or Kerkira. Anyway.
What colours are they?
Blue and red, basically.
Blue and red. Okay.
And he writes Ao Kerkira on it and all that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's a big one. So everyone knows every year this is the one that's gonna,
It's like the grand finale.
Well, it's one of them. There's a few people that do similar ones, but they do massive ones. They stand up on the top of the building and they're signaling to everyone to count down, from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bang.
Wow.
It becomes a, it's quite a spectacle.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
Look, funny you say that. In Ipiro's dotted with Venetian castles as well. I believe Breveza does that as well, but they go into a main square.
Is that right?
They don't throw them off a balcony. From
Right.
what I understand, that they all bring their little pots in, like they're big as your hand, maybe a little bit bigger, and they all go around the square, and then at a certain time they just smash it onto the ground.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so there you go. So it must be something to do with the Venetians, or...
Well, funny you should mention that. So I did a little bit of research. The exact origin of the custom is unclear, and according to the municipality of Corfu, one popular belief is that it originated with the Venetians, who were obviously on the island between, I think 14th and 18th centuries. And it was to mark the new year initially. And the Venetians would throw out their old belongings to make way for new ones in order to make a fresh start to the year. That's apparently where it sort of originates, and they just appropriated that, moved it to Easter, and now it's part of the tradition. Very
there you
interesting
go.
stuff.
Yeah, love it. Love all that. And it's only unique to Corfu.
That's it.
All that part, and Breveza, I guess, do it in a smaller version. Yeah, fascinating.
Well, we try and do it here as well on our balcony.
Do you really?
Yeah. So my Bethera usually sends us a couple of pots from Corfu.
Fantastic.
We just break them on the balcony there. I want to throw it out the window though. I want to see it fall 3 stories.
Yeah, you should. I think, fuck, there's another domestic going on.
Yeah.
Tom's pissed off Dimitra.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Classic. No, good stuff. Yeah, so where my parents are from, mum's from a place, it's called La Banitsa.
Yep.
So it's deep, it's part of Suli. So
Right.
it's a part of, so Suli's the main town.
Historic town.
It is, and there's all these suburbs, and this is a Barasuli. It's called La Banitsa, but they changed the name to Elataria. Actually, I've got a document to say there was 50 families that lived in La Banitsa in 1579. So there was this guy that went to Istanbul, and he got all these he bought all these documentation. So apparently the Ottomans were really good at keeping records.
Yep.
And he bought all these records and documentation. I reached out to him. I said, do you have anything in La Banitsa? And he goes, yes, I do. And he goes, in 1579, I've got all the names of the families that lived there. He goes, there was no
Wow.
widows and 22 bachelors. And I thought, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing. So that's how long this village has been running for. And the tradition hasn't really changed much in those 400 years from what my mum was saying. She goes, every year it's the same thing, and her great-grandfather who lived there and so forth did the same tradition. And they do what we do today, essentially. They celebrate, they feast for 40 days with Lent. They go to church every Sunday. Mum used to say they go to the local beekeeper, and he'd collect all the wax and make these lambades for the kids. And every Sunday for the 40 days, they'd go to church. They'd light the candle, and as soon as they left the church, they'd distinguish the candle. So they try and make it last for the 40 days.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and what else you say? Yeah, apparently her dad used to buy them brand new clothes every Easter.
Wow.
So all the kids would get new shoes, new clothes for Easter. That was
Actually,
another
yeah.
tradition.
Yeah. I remember as a kid, I think, my godparents would always do that. It was always like, buy new shoes, buy new stuff, basically. With your godparents, they usually buy the kid a labada as well. So there's always a, very impressive candle of some description.
That's right.
That whole thing about renewal and new stuff, it kind of speaks to what we were just talking about with the botides as well. It's
Okay.
out with the old, in with the new type of thing.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Interesting symbolism.
It is, yeah. And the feast would always happen on the Sunday. So Mum would say that virtually the whole hill would be smoking from all the suvles happening.
Oh, how good's that?
Yeah, and I'd say, what did you all eat? She goes, it was all lamb. It was the only time of the year we'd have lamb, or twice a year they'd have lamb. And the whole hill would be lit up with all these families cooking their own version of lamb, and their own ingredients and how to marinate it. But yeah, it's a great tradition, and Mum said it was the best time of the year. She loved it. Every year, everyone would get together. Because after lunch, then the clarina would start playing. That's all the dancing would start happening. And yeah, she goes, it would go for at least 2 days, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah.
Everyone says that Easter over there is very different. Now that I've experienced it, they're actually right. It's on a whole other level there.
Yeah.
Like here it's big, and it's big within the family, but it's on a whole other level when it's everyone that's celebrating at the same time.
Yeah.
And even, again, I can only speak from Corfu's perspective, but even the Catholics on Corfu, there's actually a large Catholic basilica on the island. They celebrate Easter at the same time as the Orthodox do because of the fact that it's such a big deal. So they actually don't observe Easter at the Catholic time. They observe it on the Orthodox calendar.
Yeah, so is that something to do with the old calendar, the Julian calendar,
Yeah, that's right. So
as opposed to the Gregorian, which is what we use today?
yeah, so my understanding is that the Orthodox calendar basically, what they say is Jewish Passover basically needs to happen first before you can have Easter.
Okay.
And that's how the Orthodox do it, whereas the Catholics don't take Passover into account, which is kind of significant because when you think about the Last Supper that happens on Thursday, that was a Passover meal. So kind of makes sense in some respects that you would need to observe Passover first and then have Easter. I kind of agree with that.
Logical, that's for sure.
Yeah. Obviously, the calendar that we observe works astronomically now, but in terms of the religious aspect of it, yeah, I agree. You know, Passover needs to happen first before we can have Easter. It's interesting stuff.
It is, definitely. Yeah, that makes sense. And there's a reason why we have these customs and traditions. And sometimes we forget. We forget why we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done, mate.
Let's look at one other tradition in Greece. The rocket wars in here. Have you seen this? It's unbelievable.
Yes, it is. It's mad.
It's insane.
It's very Greek, isn't it? They're just mad.
Okay, so for those who don't know or maybe haven't seen it, in Chios there are these two villages where there's a church, obviously in each one, and they've obviously got a bell tower in each one. And somehow this tradition started somewhere in the Middle Ages or somewhere along the lines where they would fire homemade rockets at the other church trying to hit their bell tower. And it's just turned into an absolute war every year. It's all in good fun. Like there's obviously a bit of banter between the two villages and whatnot. But it's absolutely insane. If you see the videos of it, mate, there are fires happening. The trees are lighting up and all that sort of thing. It's insane.
Yeah, it is. I've seen it. It's crazy. It's like they've lined up all these rockets and one guy just runs with a lit torch and lighting them all up, and all of a sudden a dozen rockets go flying trying to hit that bell tower.
Yeah.
And I think every time they do hit a bell tower, a cheer goes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. It's insane. And you can imagine the firefighters would be very nervous that time of year.
Oh, yeah. They're on standby. I saw a video where basically they had the fire engine somewhere and someone was calling back. I think the fire engine was stationed somewhere in between the two villages, and someone called that a tree had caught fire. Apparently this fire engine couldn't move from where it was. It was sort of, closed in or whatever the case is. Anyway, by the time they got there, the tree had already burned. It was gone.
Singed.
It was coal by the time they got there. Charcoal.
Oh, classic.
They make these homemade rockets, and apparently there's people are experimenting all the time to see what the right recipe and the right, portion of charcoal versus
gunpowder.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I remember someone said that there's charcoal in it.
Okay.
They grind everything down to a fine powder. We won't give instructions on how to make it on the show because we don't encourage that sort of thing. But yeah, effectively, people just make as many rockets as they can, and they just start firing them at the opposing church.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a great spectacle.
Yeah.
And they always record it,
Yeah.
and it always gets posted around the world. Just amazing of a spectacle of all these rockets from one end to another, and everyone's cheering and people are dodging them. I don't understand how no one gets hurt out of this.
They ask people over there, like, "Oh yeah, have there been any injuries?" And people are like, "Nah, it's all right." And then you've always got that one bloke who's like, "Oh, if you know what you're doing, there's no injuries." It's like, yeah, okay.
Settle me.
Yeah, this is excited there, mate.
Says the guy with one eye.
Yeah. Can you imagine doing something like that here?
Nah, I can't. Get arrested.
Work health and safety, public safety.
Yeah, nah, doesn't exist.
Imagine the insurance on an event like that.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to fire, 300 rockets into the opposing suburb.
Yeah. Oh, they're mad. And that's the thing. And then once that finishes, they just get into their festivities, don't they?
That's it.
Start drinking, hitting the ouzo.
It's the way to do it.
And so alcohol, so I'm just reading here. So actually my mum was reminding me in Labanitsa, they'd make all their red wine and then they'd have all this ouzo. So they drink what we drink, mate.
Really?
Ouzo's the drink. Fantastic. At Easter time. How good's that?
Well, see, we're upholding Easter traditions.
Yeah, exactly.
Just another reason to drink more ouzo.
Yeah.
Another really interesting thing about Easter in Greece is the look of Santorini during Easter. I don't know if you've ever seen it at night, with all these people holding candles, all these villages, sort of dotted along the island. Mm-hmm. And I suspect it would look similar everywhere else as well. But that sort of contrast between the white houses lit up by candlelight and people doing their processions and all that sort of thing, it is unbelievable.
Oh, I can imagine. It's a beautiful island, the best of times, but having it lit up with candles, it would be amazing. Yeah. So what's your theory on candles, mate? Do you have like a little cup holder when you're sitting there for an hour?
Mate, I'm cheating now. I'm cheating because IKEA has these great little lanterns.
Okay.
So you get one of those for like, $8 or whatever it is.
You're getting soft.
I am, mate, I am. But, it makes the transport home easier.
Yeah, it does.
Because once you put it in there, you've got either a little tea light or a little candle or whatever it is. All you got to do is hold this little lantern there and there's no problem. Whereas back in the day, as you well know, you'd get in the car, you'd be getting weird looks from cops on the way home and, getting pulled over. That sort of thing. It's like, why have you got an open flame in your car?
Yeah.
But now, it's pretty safe. You just keep it in your little lantern and it's not going to blow out. That whole, that anxiety of going home and thinking, oh my God, if this goes out, it's bad luck.
Yeah. Can't have that.
Yeah.
We've had all this good luck.
I know, right?
That one bad luck thing was wipe everything out.
It's
yeah.
Can undo everything.
That's right. Yeah. What blows me away is all the elder generation who sit there and hold a candle and
the season ticket holders.
Yeah, the season ticket holders, wax going all over their hand. They don't even flinch. 80-year-old ladies, it's nothing. Or theos me voitha, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, interestingly, I don't know if you've ever seen this. So that the flame that's passed around basically comes from the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which they say lights spontaneously in the tomb of Christ every year. They say to you that when that flame comes out each year, I don't know if you've ever seen.
I've actually been there.
Were you there for it?
No, not for it, but I'll tell you a story in a second.
Okay.
I'll say your story. Yeah.
So what they say is basically when that comes out, people start passing this flame around and sharing it around. It doesn't burn you. So there's people there touching the flame and doing all that sort of stuff and putting it on their face and stuff, and they swear blind that you can't get burnt with it.
Didn't we do that when we were kids? You'd run your finger across the flame. Sometimes you try and put it out with your finger to show how strong you were.
Yeah. In fairness, I haven't seen anyone sort of hold their hand right in the flame. There's always a little bit of separation, but that's what they say.
Wow.
But we don't get the fresh flame every year. It's from last year, apparently. So we've got the flame from last year.
Oh, do we? Okay.
I think that's the way it works.
Behind.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Whereas in Greece, the flame comes from Jerusalem on a presidential jet.
Wow.
They're very serious about it. Yeah. In a lantern. Not like the IKEA lantern, but a proper one.
Okay. I'm sure it would be. Yeah. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it happens every year. There's a band there to
greet the force.
To greet it. Yeah. By your force. Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic. Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It is. Yeah, look, it's an amazing place, the Holy Sepulchre Church. I went there years ago. You walk in, the Greek priests everywhere.
Yeah.
You walk in and the first thing you see is a slab. Everyone cries out. Oh, I didn't know. So I didn't get involved in part of the tour. So I just walked in on my own. I could see people crying over this slab, and there was an American tourist there, and he was my guide. He's an old guy. He's I've been here several times. I go, what's happening here? And he goes, well, when Jesus died, they actually put him on this slab and they cleaned him up.
Right.
I said, you're kidding? Okay, so that was the first stage. You walk through into the church, you see that. And then everyone walks over to this. It looked like a monument where someone can stand in it. And they said, well, that's where Mary stood watching these people clean her son. I thought, wow. So you go to that stage as well. There's a priest there. And then you walk a little bit. So you head towards the stairs. And as you get towards the stairs, you see a glass plate behind this wall. And there was a crack in it. And he goes, that's proof that when Jesus died, the earth cracked. I thought, wow, okay. So you see that, and you walk up the stairs, and then you join this queue. Supposedly, the queue leads to where Jesus was crucified.
Right.
So they say they've still got the hole. So I joined the queue, got there, and see this hand, Tom? Mm-hmm. This hand went in the hole, mate. So
Wrong hand, mate. Your left hand?
Yeah, I used my left hand. I'm left-handed. Yeah. So I went in. Again, there was another priest. It was a big bucket of money. So apparently you put money in as well. And I took a photo. Yeah, but it was all rendered. It seemed nice, but they say that was where the hole was. Yeah, okay. Where Jesus got crucified. And underneath was proof that the earth cracked.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was
interesting
really
stuff, isn't it?
It is. And the whole time you'd see people, like groups of people like Filipinos and Americans and Canadians and all different types of countries and religions coming through, and they were actually holding crosses, and women were crying and so forth. Yeah, amazing place. You've got to check it out. But yeah, that was...
I can't wait to go.
Yeah, and they do it really good. You know, it's presented really well, and it's a fascinating city, Jerusalem. My God, there's so much going on there. I could talk forever on that stuff. But yeah, that was it. That was the Holy Sepulchre. And it's funny you just mentioned that. You just brought back all those memories.
There you go. Yeah. Well, let's come back to how we celebrate Easter in the diaspora. Let's talk about the fashion parade.
Okay, well.
We spoke about it with Mary a few weeks ago, with Mary Kustis. Mm-hmm. Maybe we should actually have a listen to that, what we actually discussed there.
Yeah, let's play that.
I know for me, growing up, church was the place where I would wear my best outfit. And I'm not talking about what my mother wanted me to wear. I was very fashion forward, and it was my little runway, you know, walking down the aisle for me was God's runway. And bum. You know, and that's where I went to show my wares and my hairs. And, you know, I pitied anyone that didn't quite get where I was at, because I thought I was pioneering. You know, I was always big on fashion. I still am. I love it.
And it still is like that. I'm sure it still is like that.
It is, you know.
It's a fashion parade going to church.
100%.
But it was hard, especially in our day. We didn't understand what they were saying.
Yeah,
exactly.
Did we? Now at least, like, they'll say stuff in English and we're getting our heads around it. But certainly in those days, I didn't know what was going on. So I remember, you know, comics were really big, and all the little kids would sit at the back reading comics because there were no iPads.
Yep.
But certainly you had to find something to amuse yourself with, or, you know, get a bit of status from.
I mean, she's right, isn't she? I mean, it really is a fashion parade every year, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You got to pick your best outfit. I guess it goes back to the story of my mum's ancestors. You know, you buy new clothes for Easter, and that's what they would do to attend this fashion parade, as now we know as Easter.
Yeah. It's not just the women, though. The girls are, you know, dolled up like laternes, as they say in Greek. You know, wearing their absolute best. Even the guys, I mean, there's, you know, some of the suits pretty schmick.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Hugo Boss suits and so forth. Yeah, they don't muck around at Easter time, that's for sure. Yeah, and the women, it's like they're dressed up for a nightclub, aren't they?
Yeah.
Let alone church. You know, their hair done, you know, they go to the hairdressers and so forth. But they say that's where you can find your potential bride or groom. Have you ever heard that? Well, that's what they used to say back in the day. You know, everyone dresses up really nice. You're going to find a good person from church. So.
Like Mary said, to show my wares and my hairs.
Yeah. This is a classic.
Oh dear, good stuff. Well, look, it still very much is a little bit like that. So much of what makes Easter time so special is the food and the smells. You know, the really good stuff is obviously the meat on the Sunday, you know, obviously because of Nistia. But let's start with tsourekia. For those who don't know, yes, Easter sweetbread. It's kind of like a brioche, which is platted. Does your mum make it? Have you ever made it? Do you have someone in the family that makes it?
My mum.
Yep.
She makes it for everyone. She'll probably make 20 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And sometimes they put an egg in the middle.
Yes.
Red egg in the middle. Every family gets distributed. And they actually swap tsourekia.
Yeah.
So one family will cook some, give one to theirs, and then everyone tastes it. Did a good one this year.
Yeah.
Or, you know, Thea down the road did a really good one this year. Or your 2019 tsourekia was the best I've ever had. And
it is a bit of a competition, isn't it?
it is. Yeah. They should join that Easter show that we have. You know, they have that bread baking competition.
That is a top idea.
Mate, they
Top
do well.
lady.
They do well.
Jeez, yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, they do all that sort of stuff at the Easter show, don't they?
They do.
Like your pie bakes and your jams and all that sort of stuff. Tsourekia, mate. That's the way to do it.
We could do one. We're onto something here.
Yeah. Maybe we should have our own stand there. Ouzo Talk tsourekia contest.
Yes, exactly. Hand pick half
Yeah.
a dozen and have a winner. Ouzo Talk champ.
Oh,
Tsourekia
jeez.
champ.
We're going to put on a lot of weight during that time, mate.
Yeah.
But it's all about it being light, though. A lot of people make it, and because they they knead it a little bit too much, or they leave it in the machine too much, it comes out and it's heavy. It's too dense. My wife actually does a really good job of it every year because she's got a bit of a background as a pastry chef,
Yeah.
which makes it
Always helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever it's really light and fluffy, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And apparently, according to her, you put too much mahlepi in it, which is that it's kind of signature smell.
Okay.
And it makes it a little bit too bitter. Put too much mahlepi in it, and you've ruined it. Apparently, so it's this sort of balance between mahlepi, masticha, and all the other smells.
Yeah. Look, the best time to eat it, for me, it's straight out of the oven.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2-3 days. It's still good, but that's the best time to have it. Doesn't get better. Sort of, because it's all natural ingredients as well. It deteriorates in flavour and
Yeah.
taste the more you leave it. But I tend to put it in the microwave. I've had it for 3-4 days. Chuck it in the microwave. It's probably the best you're going to get
Yeah.
it. Oh, I love it.
you want me to change your life?
Yes.
Okay, cut a piece,
Yep.
put it in the toaster for a little bit,
Toaster.
and then put Nutella on it.
Ooh. Okay.
I've just ruined it for you.
Is that a diaspora thing?
It must be. Well, look, in Greece, you know what? The big thing over there's obviously big companies like Derkenli, based in Thessaloniki, who do tsourekia,
Yep.
and they cover them in chocolate. You can get them here now as well.
Okay.
That's a huge thing over there, and you get it all year round.
Yeah.
Right. So they make tsourekia, they plat it, they do whatever they've got to do to
Sure.
it,
Yeah.
and they cover it in chocolate. It is fantastic.
Okay.
It's the greatest thing you're ever going to have. There's other people here, for example, who do like an apple pie filling inside it as well, like a cherry filling. So it's inside each of the plats, and then they cover it with a either ganache or something along those lines. It is unbelievable.
Fantastic. So they've modernised the tsourekia
Yeah,
now.
you got to get that into your life, mate.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I'm a traditionalist. But
Yeah.
I like the sound of all that.
I think that's what I'm going to get you for Easter, mate. I'm going to get you a tsourekia that's covered in chocolate.
Fantastic.
I'm going to change your life.
Probably, yeah. Put on weight, mate. Thanks for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, beautiful. And what about gurabiedes and all that sort of stuff? Guluria,
Oh, yeah.
does your mum make all that and Dimitra make all that?
My wife does all that sort of stuff. Mum doesn't really do the sweets. That's more my wife's domain. Dimitra always does. Yeah, she usually does bacho kurabiedes and kuluria, all that sort of stuff, as well as the tsourekia.
Yeah.
That makes up her plate. The plate that you give out to everyone.
Okay, beautiful.
It's always fantastic.
Yeah.
Always.
Do you ever have the gurabieda shirt where you got the white dust down your
The
shirt?
cocaine shirt.
No,
Yeah, of course.
that's how you know it's a good one.
Yeah. Say hello to my little friend.
That's right. One bite and you wear it all down your shirt.
That's it.
That's a good gurabieda, that one.
That's it. Now she's good like that because she makes the actual the shortbread is really buttery, so it's this combination. Again, it's really light.
Yep.
So you've got this sort of light shortbread, short crust or whatever you want to call it, covered in the zakariachni. You don't need tea, you don't need coffee, just by itself. Beautiful.
Yeah. Far, I'm actually salivating now. I could have used one of them with my coffee this morning.
Yeah,
Hey? Oh, fantastic.
absolutely.
Yeah. And then all the men get the adni out, eh?
That's it.
I think we already covered that, didn't we, in the barbecue episode?
If you need some tips on how to do your souvla or your barbecue or whatever, check out the barbecue episode that we did a few months back.
What was it? Episode 3, I think it was.
Good episode. We got a little bit loose on that episode.
We did.
The barbayani was flowing thick and fast.
Yeah. Did we come to an agreement in the end? I think it ended up being the quality of the produce.
Yeah,
So the better the quality, the less ingredients you need. on it.
absolutely. When you've got good produce, don't ruin it with too much stuff. Go sparingly.
Yeah.
Always use good salt and pepper.
Good origani.
Good origani, but don't overdo it with with things like garlic and all that sort of stuff. The only thing that we didn't really agree on was the olive oil.
Okay.
Remember?
Yeah, and
So-
regani before or after?
Yeah, so like I said, my family, my Bethero, who who runs a restaurant and all that sort of thing, refuses to put oil on it because he's like, this is a fatty animal for a start, and we'll only put oregano on it after cutting it. So it's cooked, butchers it all up, ready for serving, and we'll put oregano on it afterwards, and lavo lemono if you want after that. You know what I mean? So.
I hear paprika is very popular as well. A couple of islands I know, Limnos and so forth, they love adding the paprika on there.
Yeah.
You a big paprika fan?
On chicken, the kodoshuvli or something like that.
Yeah.
Haven't really tried it on lamb though.
Yeah, I've had a couple of lamb stuvli in my time where they've spread paprika all over it, oregano, heaps of salt, pepper. They actually put a hard cheese in the belly of it before they salt
Oh, really?
it.
Okay.
Garlic and onions and so forth, and they stab the inside of it. Actually, they stab it right through.
Yeah, right.
So when the cheese melts, it goes right through the meat and,
Yeah, right.
and so forth. Yeah,
Fantastic.
it is. And
We've got some good traditions, mate.
we do, we love it. Just remind you of the story as well. A couple of years ago, we're having a chat about this, how you do your suvla and so forth. There's a family in the 80s. So back then, remember the suvla, it was all done by hand.
Yes.
You had to wheel it around, you had to rotate, use your left hand, your right hand. And then a couple of, bright sparks. I thought, you know what, let's just put a motor to it.
He must have been Greek.
Of course, the Greek engineer hat comes on.
Yep.
Yeah, we can do this better,
Yep.
So there's a couple of guys back in the 80s who had a really good idea of putting a motorised mechanism on this spit. And one of the guys had a old washing machine he was getting rid of. And he goes, you know what? Grab the motor from the washing machine, we'll chuck it on here. So a week before Easter, these three blokes got together and they worked it out. They ripped out this washing machine motor and they put it on and they tested it.
Yep.
Like a good engineer, you test it first, and they tested it. And they were, very pleased with themselves and winking at each other, and they were fist pumping and high fiving. I think we've worked it out here.
Yeah.
Again, this is in the 80s. Back then, it was all still done by hand, and motorised was sort of coming in the late 80s, early 90s. But these guys went one step further, got this washing machine motor, all happened, it was all ready to go. Anyway, so all the Easter festivities kicked in. Sunday morning, they all got together. They did the charcoal. They marinated the lamb. Good, 15 kilo size lamb. Put it on. They turned on the power and the switch, and then things started to turn automatically. The whole group that were there, the women, everyone was impressed. Going, oh my God, how good is this? The guys are cheering, sipping on their Ouzo. How smart are we?
Where's this going?
Yeah. Anyway, so it went for about half hour. Then they switched off the power.
Yep.
They readjusted it again, touched it up again, switched on the power again, and then they left it. So it takes good 3 hours, 4 hours sometimes. Anyway, so this thing started rotating. It was going good. They're all sitting around now and then at the trapezi. They'd look over and they'd admire their work. They'd go, how good's this? And they'd look at their mates. They'd wink at each other. Mate, mate. 2 hours into it, they just, as they're sitting around, they started looking at this thing and it started spinning quicker.
Yeah.
It started going quicker. All of a sudden, this thing was out of control. It was spinning so fast that they all jumped out of their seats, trying to grab the handle, trying to stop it. It lasted for about 30 seconds, and this thing started just to break apart. It started flying off, and the thing just collapsed. There was meat flinging everywhere. Everyone got scared. What? This thing's possessed. What's happened?
It's bad luck.
Yeah, it's bad luck. And they're all freaking out, they're all scratching their heads. And by the time they worked out they could just switch off the power, this thing had broken apart. The leg of lamb went flying off into the backyard. It had collapsed. The charcoal fell on the ground. And they worked out that this washing machine motor
Was on spin mode.
Yeah. They hadn't adjusted, or I don't know what they did. They just grabbed the motor and it got to spin cycle, and the thing just kicked in.
Geez.
2 hours into it, the spin cycle kicked in, and this lamb was just spinning 100 miles an hour and just broke apart.
Outstanding.
It was so funny, but the way the guy described it, and they had a dog in the backyard, and
He must have been happy.
yeah, the dog was happy, and the women are all freaking out. They tried to salvage some of it. Apparently, they did. and ended up being, I'd missed a foot and all. Like
of course.
they salvaged some of the, chuck what's left in the oven. But yeah, it was the funniest sight. Yeah. And they're all so proud of themselves, winking. All of a sudden, this thing just went out of control like it was possessed. Yeah, it was a funny sight. But anyway, that was that one Easter. I'll never forget, will they?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm surprised nobody did it with a drill back then, like using like a power drill or something like that to do the rotation.
Yeah, it's funny how times change. You can go to Bunnings and get one for $20 now.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's good ones at Bunnings actually. For, I think it's about $70 for a little jumbuck.
Yeah.
Your little souvla. You won't fit a whole lot of meat on it, but you can definitely do a good souvla on that, or a chicken, or a leg of lamb, or something like that.
Definitely.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
And you've got your motor in there.
Yeah, definitely. We're modernised, mate.
Yeah. What about the red eggs? We spoke a little bit about this with Mary. What's the trick?
Yeah.
The competition is insane every year. It's furious competition between the family.
Yeah, look, what brings great memories, actually. I remember my mum would be in the kitchen. She'd go in the backyard and she'd grab leaves and she'd grab stockings, and the leaves would go on the egg, and then she'd wrap stockings around the eggs, and she'd put red dye through them.
Okay.
And then she'd take the stocking off, and you'd have this beautiful image of a leaf on the side of the egg. Yeah, that was... I remember those days. And I used to help my mum with it as well, put them in the stockings and tying it up and
I always wondered how they did that, because my family never did those patterns.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I had an aunt who... used to do that. Mm-hmm. But I never got to see how they actually did that. Very interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you just brought back all these fond memories. And Mum would sit there a week out making, a shitload of eggs. And there was always red, I remember. And then now and then she broke it up, put a bit of green in there. Mm-hmm. And then one year we had like blue. I thought, wow, what does that mean, Mum? She's it was on sale. The colour was on sale. Yeah. But I remember, the old Christos Anesti and Alithos Anesti. Yeah, the technique. Well, they say the technique, if you squeeze the end of it with your fingers, it makes it harder.
What I've found, I don't know if there's any science behind this, but it's usually the darker eggs that are the strongest.
Okay, because they've got more coat of paint over the top.
Maybe something like that. Maybe they absorb more of the dye and it thickens it somehow. But I've never seen one of the lighter eggs be the victorious egg. No. It's always one of the dark ones. Dark and small.
Okay, I like that.
That's
dark and small.
That's my approach.
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah.
Or use the wooden one.
The wooden one, yes, that's right. Yeah, I think my brother tried to do that one year.
Yeah, how did it go?
Yeah, he just beat everyone until he worked out what he was doing.
Yeah.
He said, hey, cheat.
There's always the allegation.
Yeah.
There's always the allegation at the table. Let me see it.
Yeah.
My Uncle Harry, oh my God. If you've got an egg that's working, he'll say, okay, give us a look at it. You'll throw, you'll put your hand out and he'll just grab your hand and crush it.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. Maybe we should explain to the non-Greek listeners out there what this is all about.
Yeah, so we've got this little competition at the dinner table. 2 red eggs, one pointy end up. So, one person says Christ is risen, the other one responds with truly is risen, and you sort of, hit each other's egg with it.
The one that doesn't crack is the winner.
Correct.
Yeah, and you got to go point to point, and then, as we say, bum to bum.
Yeah.
Yeah, because apparently the bum is more solid.
The bum is the softer part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's the one that's most likely to crack.
Yeah, and how funny is it after that competition ends, you got all these cracked eggs. Yeah. If you lose, you just grab another one. You don't eat it.
Yeah, that's it. My dad would always take the eggs. He'd make like an egg salad sort of thing,
Beautiful.
Just put your mayo in it and whatever. You put that in sandwiches afterwards, something like that.
Yeah.
It's a good way to use them.
It is, yeah.
But you take them to work and everyone's looking at you saying, what's wrong with that egg?
Yeah.
Like got these red eggs sitting on your
Classic.
desk.
Yeah, and sometimes the dye seeps through.
Yeah.
So you got the egg white with like a red stripe through it.
Yeah, correct. I always loved freaking people out at work, when they would, bring a couple of red eggs out or whatever. It's like, what's going on there? You'd have like dye on your hands and your hands are covered in red.
And it got quite competitive. I guess our family's very competitive as well. So we'd always try and win, and you get the shits if you didn't win.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, like your Uncle Harry, we'd have people in our family would, just blow up and crush your egg. Spoiled sport.
Yeah.
Cheated.
Oh dear.
Good
Love
old
it.
days.
Well,
Yeah.
can't wait for it this year.
Actually, speaking of food, you haven't touched on this. What about majeritza?
Oh yeah, majeritza.
Kokoretsi.
Yeah,
Do you like the majeritza?
me personally, love it.
Okay.
Love it. But it is an acquired taste, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
For those who don't know, majeritza is effectively gut soup. so the lamb that's been slaughtered for
Lamb gut soup.
Yeah.
Yes.
the lamb that's been slaughtered for the souvla, for the spit, you basically take the offal from it and you're making it into a soup. And not everyone enjoys it. That's like the midnight dish
Yeah.
for Easter.
It is.
Your mum makes it?
Definitely. Yeah. Well, not now. We don't really eat it, but yeah, she used to make it.
Yep.
She used to say it takes forever to make because you got to clean it
Yes.
and clean it and over clean it and clean it again. And yeah, and I remember, after church, you come in Saturday with your candle, midnight, put the candle in, and the majeritza would come out. I could never eat it.
Really?
Yeah,
Didn't like
no,
it?
Never. Yeah, my brother used to eat it. Mum and dad. Yeah, me, no, never got into it.
Really?
I
See, I
tried
really
one
like it.
year, but just that image of, because I used to watch her make it. If you didn't see what was in it, you probably would eat it.
Yep.
But I would watch her make it and clean it, and it sort of turned me off as
Yep.
a kid.
Yeah.
Because mum and dad used to get a whole fucking lamb, used to chop it up in front
Yep.
of us, and I used to watch, and they used to go to the abattoir and
Yep.
bring it in, and the head sometimes was still attached.
Yeah.
And they'd eat the head.
Yep.
The head is for the head of the family.
Yes.
And it's a delicacy, the eyeballs, the brain, the cheek.
Yeah, I could never do that.
I remember one
Me
year
personally.
I saw it and this thing was staring at me. You could still see the teeth and the eyeballs and like, oh my God, like a picture a little 5-year-old, 6-year-old. I'd mentally scarred looking at this thing. I go, this thing's looking at me. I'd have nightmares about it.
Mate, my granddad was big time into that. He
Really?
loved it. Yeah, absolutely. He loved it.
Yeah, it was an honour too to have that.
Yeah.
If the patriarch of the house would have to eat it.
Yeah. So the other thing that they do with the offal is obviously kokoretsu. Do you eat that?
No.
Really? You
It
don't
looks
like that either?
great. It looks good. But because I know what it is,
Yeah.
I don't eat it.
Mate, it is fantastic. So, I mean, for those who don't know, kokoretsu is basically everything that we've just spoken about. So usually like hearts, kidneys, liver, and the adero, so the intestine basically. You put it on a skewer and basically wrap it all up in this intestine. And look, it sounds horrible, and you'd think that it would taste pretty bad, but it's all in the cleaning. There's a whole procedure to get this right, and especially with the intestine, you need to turn it inside out, wash it with lemon juice and lemons. I mean, I've seen my mum. My mum and my pethera doing that.
Yeah.
And the joke in the family, is "Tasuyiri sotadera." You know what I mean? So what happens is they do that. You wrap it all up. You use a bit of coal fat as well, and put that on the shula. I love it. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
It's so rich and fatty and just beautiful.
I love seeing it on the suvla because it just reminds me of the tradition. However, I just think it's a waste of space on the suvla. I'd rather be putting something else on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can understand. It's a tradition. Yeah, it's good to have it on there. But look, I'm the one with sitting around with a fork, peeling off the bets off the lamb. Oh my God, yeah, that's me.
Love it.
Yeah, I couldn't do the kokoretsu. But look, it's a tradition, and it's good that you enjoy it.
I love it. I love it.
We'll see. Maybe you can get me to try it one time.
Well, next time we make it, I'm definitely going to give you some.
I'll have a little bit.
We'll film it. Nick's reaction to kokoretsu.
Yeah. Well, I guess time heals all wounds, I guess. So I haven't seen Mum make it anymore, so I tend to forget about it.
Oh, we've got to do it this year. We have to do it. Good stuff.
Love it.
There's so much we can talk about, but I think we've kind of covered it for now. We want to wish everyone a Kali Anastasiu. Happy Easter. Hopefully you sort of listen to this podcast in the lead up to your Easter celebration this year, wherever you are in the world. All of our listeners in Australia, in the US and the UK,
Canada.
and Greece, Canada, yeah, absolutely. All of those
Zambia.
countries. Zambia.
Kenya.
All those countries we've listened to. However you celebrate, we want to know about it. So email us at ouzotalk@outlook.com. Comment on one of our social media platforms at Ouzo Talk or at Ouzo_talk on Instagram. We want to know, how do you celebrate Easter? What are your traditions?
Love it, Tom. And look, happy Easter, everyone. Enjoy the festive season. It's a great time of year. And looking forward to all your feedback. And it's great reminiscing as well, Tom. You brought back all these great memories.
Yeah, it's fantastic reminiscing, Nick. I mean, it's all about the kids now, obviously, trying to make it really impressive and special for the kids. It's all about the Easter eggs. It's all about the chocolate, all about the tsourekia. And, we'll sort of instill the traditions of going to church in them as well and pass it on to the next generation.
Yeah, definitely. Look, we'll be there. We'll be there at Cogred Church. My mum will be there with her 7 grandkids.
Fantastic. That's what it's about.
The tradition will live on definitely in our family.
Well, guys, thanks again for tuning in. Nick, thank you very much.
Tom, it's been a pleasure.
As always.
Coffee went down well.
Yes.
I think we're ready for an Ouzo.
Absolutely. Next episode.
Okay,
It's
mate.
a big one.
It is. We've got a couple of big ones coming up. Looking forward to it.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, okay. Happy Easter, everyone.
Kalya Anastasiou.